Hello, and welcome to There's More to the Story with Albee Swenson. We are in our Get Moving series with an episode that I am calling Your Past Does Not Define You. We are in Joshua chapter 2. And once again, as last time, I am so excited for you guys to dive with me into Joshua chapter 2 because it is so incredibly amazing. So we're going to get going right off the bat. Starting off, we hear, Then Joshua, son of Nun, secretly sent 2 spies from Shittim. Go look over the land, he said, especially Jericho. So they went and entered the house of a prostitute named Rahab and stayed there. We're going to stop right there. The People's Bible commentary points this out. There are 2 distinct differences between when Joshua sent spies out and when Moses sent spies out. First of all, Joshua sent out 2 spies secretly. Moses sent out 12 spies publicly. So Moses made a big deal about it. He said, hey guys, go, spy out the land, bring a report back to us. It went very badly because 10 of the spies came back and they said, oh my goodness, it's a great land. It's amazing. It's wonderful. But the walls are really big and the people are really big. And there's no way that we can actually do this. We're just too weak to conquer this land. And it became a big public thing. And the people all were, convinced by the 10 spies that they couldn't do it. So this time around, Joshua sends 2 spies and he sent them secretly. He didn't tell everybody, hey, I'm going to go send these guys out to, spy out the land. He just sent 2. Report back to me. That way, Joshua knows, he hears first. He'll take the information, he'll use it however he needs to use it, and go from there. The second huge difference is that Moses told the spies to go spy out the land and report back. Now, Joshua did the same thing, but he said, especially Jericho. Let's just focus on Jericho. Let's see what that area is like. Why is that different? Moses was saying, give us a layout of the land. Tell us what this land is like. Tell us about the crops. Tell us about the people. Tell us about, whatever. Joshua is saying, let's focus on step 1. The first city that we're going to go to is Jericho. So let's just focus on that. Again, so often, I mentioned this last time, but so often we freak ourselves out with what we have to do. We look at the long-term plan. When you start to save for retirement and you're putting $200 away a month and you're like, this is useless. I am never going to get anywhere from this. You just start today. If you can give $200 a month to retirement today, start there. Yeah, no, it's not, $1,000 a month. It's not whatever, but it is something. And so often we get totally overwhelmed because we look at something so vast, so big, and we just decide right off the bat, oh, this is overwhelming. I can't do it. I've helped multiple people write books, and I always say the same thing. Writing a book comes down to writing 1 chapter at a time. It is 1 sentence, 1 paragraph, 1 page, 1 chapter. And then when you're done with that, you go to the next chapter and then the next and then the next and then the next. If you just look at it as like, oh my goodness, I have to write a book, it can be so overwhelming. And so I love that Joshua just said, let's focus here. Let's just see what we can do with this city. Now, a little bit about Jericho. Jericho, by the way, sounds like somewhere most of us would want to live. Jericho is the oldest known city in civilization. It also, in Deuteronomy, was referred to as the city of palms. So, think Santa Barbara or Hawaii or some beautiful place in Florida. So that was the first place that the spies were going to check out. Now they went to hang out in a prostitute's house. Why there? Hard to say, right? It may be because they thought they would be, blend in a little bit more. It may be because it was a part of the city wall and it was a good place to get a vantage point of who was coming and going, the way that the city operated. It may be because there was good information to be passed there. We don't know. And all I'm going to say about it is this. It is so easy to judge people. Is it not? We could read this and we could stop right there. Oh my goodness. They entered the house of a prostitute and they stayed there. book closed. I don't like these men. These are men of ill repute. What are they doing? Stop. For a couple of reasons. First of all, the facts are just being reported here. So we're just getting the bare minimum. We aren't given commentary on why they did this, how dare they, whatever. And we all need to learn to have a little bit more grace, right? It is so easy to throw each other under the bus, to look in somebody else's windows and see what's going on in their life and say, how dare you listen to that music or read that book or watch that show? Or, oh my goodness, do you eat beef jerky? Why do you eat beef jerky? Or why do you drink wine? Or why do you do, what do we know about Jesus? We know that the Pharisees did that with him. They could follow him around and say, he is a friend of sinners. He eats and drinks. He's a glutton. He doesn't fast like we fast. Yeah, and you know what? Nobody wants to hang out with you. That's just because they were judgmental, not because of their fasting. I am, by the way, I'm a huge proponent of fasting. It's very healthy for you. So I am not saying you need to drink wine, eat beef jerky, and watch Netflix for people to hang out with you. I certainly hope that's not the case. I don't drink. I haven't drank in many years. So I like to think that I'm just as fun as anybody else is to hang out with. That is to say, let's quit judging each other. Let's quit throwing stones. Let's just look at the big picture and not worry about why they were there. That's between them and God. And so much of life is like that. God doesn't ask us to go around and fix our neighbor's life or tell our children exactly what they are to do. Yes, I'm going to recommend certain things, especially that my kids are really involved in a church and that they have godly Christian friends and that they're reading their Bible. I'm going to do a lot of things, but I'm not going to worry about, if they're making bread from scratch or if they're buying it. I'm just not going to do that. Going on, the king of Jericho was told, look, some of the Israelites have come here tonight to spy out the land. So if the spies went to Jericho and went to Rahab's house thinking, well, we might blend in there, they did not. They stuck out like a sore thumb. Definitely didn't blend in, which probably wasn't a terribly bad thing. If you go to certain places and you stick out, it's probably not a terribly bad thing either. If you're sticking out because you walk in the ways of God. So the king of Jericho sent this message to Rahab: bring out the men who came to you and entered your house, because they have come to spy out the whole land. So the king's on this. He's right on it. He knows what's going on. And he says to Rahab, surrender those men. But the woman had taken the two men and hidden them. She said, yes, the men came to me, but I did not know where they had come from. At dusk, when it was time to close the city gate, they left. I don't know which way they went. Go after them quickly. You may catch up with them. But she had taken them up to the roof and hidden them under the stalks of flax she had laid out on the roof. So the men set out in pursuit of the spies on the road that leads to the fords of the Jordan. And as soon as the pursuers had gone, the gate was shut. Now, here again, Rahab is lying. Does the Bible justify lying? Absolutely not. We know that Satan is the father of lies. If lies are a normal part of your behavior, that is not a good thing. I always tell my children, look, Satan is the father of lies. When you speak, Jesus said, you're speaking his native language. I don't want to speak the native language of the devil. I want to be speaking the native language of God. I want to be speaking in the truth, because Jesus said he was the way, the truth, and the life. So how can we justify what she did? Again, this is going to be between Rahab and God. And yet we know that God was working through Rahab, much as, by the way, the Hebrew midwives who lied to Pharaoh, God blessed them. So Pharaoh told all the Egyptian people and the midwives and anyone who helped give birth or anyone who saw a baby from the Hebrews that if it was a boy, they were to throw that boy into the Nile River so it would drown. And the Hebrew midwives refused to do that because that was a murderous, diabolical act. It was a terrible thing. It was against God's will. And so they refused to, and they helped the Hebrews give birth to their babies, and they did not throw the boys into the Nile River. They were brought before Pharaoh in order to give an account. And Pharaoh said, "Why are you not doing this?" And they said, "Oh, the Hebrew women are so vigorous and they're so strong. They just give birth before we get there." And in doing so, they saved their skin, and they didn't have to partake in what Pharaoh was asking them to partake in, which was, again, against God's will. Much like, by the way, if you were to read Corrie ten Boom's book, or the many accounts of people who spared Jews during Nazi Germany, they were all acting in deception. 100%. They were hiding them in secret rooms in their house. They were lying when people would knock on the door and say, "Are there Jews here?" They were saying, "No, they are not. We don't have any Jews. We don't know where they are," in order to save lives. All of that is to say that, again, while we love black and white, sometimes life insists that we use a little gray. Rahab saved the spies' lives by deceiving the king. And this was an act that we see later. It was an act of faith. And so instead of judging, instead of getting out our little red markers and saying, "Ooh, Rahab," look, if you're going to bring some issues with Rahab, then her lie there was probably the least of what you would take issue with, because she was a prostitute. And so she had probably lived a life of a lot of sins. And yet, here we are. Okay, moving on. Before the spies lay down for the night, she went up on the roof and said to them, now listen to this. This is an amazing confession by Rahab the prostitute. "I know that the Lord has given you this land, and that a great fear of you has fallen on us, so that all who live in this country are melting in fear because of you. We have heard how the Lord dried up the water of the Red Sea for you when you came out of Egypt, and what you did to Sihon and Og, the two kings of the Amorites east of the Jordan, whom you completely destroyed. When we heard of it, our hearts melted in fear, and everyone's courage failed because of you. For the Lord your God is God in heaven above and the earth below." All right, we're going to break this down just a little bit. What does she say? She confesses right off the bat, "I know that God has given you this land." Like, this is very obvious. I see that you are walking with God, and that God, this is a done deal. Great fear has fallen on us. So the whole country was melting in fear. Now, I can't help but again go back to those 12 spies who were sent out 39 years earlier, and who came back and they were melting with fear. And here, the whole city, the whole land, Rahab says, is melting in fear. Why? Because they know who God is. And they know that the people who are coming against them are the children of God. Oh, wow. Are you kidding me? That's why we should act in boldness. We should have unbelievable courage to do the things of God, because anybody who sees us should know we are walking with God. And the people who are against us, even the powers and principalities, they bow to God. So Satan, his demons, anyone Satan sends our way, they all bow to God and God's authority and God's command. As Jesus walked the earth, you saw it time and time and time again. People were possessed by demons, and they would come to Jesus and they would fall before him. "Son of God, Son of Man, what do you want with us?" They would bow to his authority. So why do we tremble? Why do we walk in fear? Why do we talk ourselves out of things when we have the power of the living God in us, with us, and when he's promised to work through us? Moving on. They heard about God's mighty act bringing the people out of Egypt. Now, this is something that God all throughout the Old Testament would tell his people. "I am the God who brought you out of Egypt." This was very important to God, that the people of Israel remember. Now, how did this get into Jericho? Clearly because the Israelites were talking. Like I said, there were the 2.5 tribes who were on the east side of the Jordan who had already settled. This is something she brings up. We already know about Sihon and Og, the other kings who you guys destroyed. You took their land. We heard about it. We know. We see that you are walking with God, and God is a powerful God. The Israelites at that time were not shy in talking about who they were, and that news was traveling. And that news had gotten to Jericho, and that is the way that we should be. Whatever we are facing, we should be the people who are like, yes, I did get the cancer diagnosis. Yes, my mom is in memory care. Yes, this is going on. Yes, I don't have a job. Yes, my health, my whatever, my child is wandering. Whatever is going on in your life, yes, you admit it. And you also confess, but I trust God. I'm praying. I don't know how God is going to answer this, but this is one thing I'm absolutely confident of. He's with me. He's guiding my steps. I'm asking him for wisdom and discernment. He's put amazing people in my life. So I'm just going to do the things of God. I'm just going to keep walking forward, and whatever happens, happens. That's the kind of unbelievable faith we should have, unshakable faith. And that's the kind of faith that people talk about. When you are in the hospital, when you are going about speaking to your neighbors, to your coworkers, to other people, and you're like, oh yeah, no, that's totally going on in my life too. Yeah. I mean, God's going to work it out. I don't know how, but somehow God's going to work it out. I'm confident of that. So I'm just waiting on him. That's the kind of thing that cause people to talk. Okay, then going on, everybody's courage has failed because of you. We know that we cannot stand against you. Now, again, think about this. We are told, resist the devil and he will flee. Even Satan will flee from us. Even the demons have to move from us when we resist them and say, oh no, no, I will not go down that path. No, I will not fall for that. No, I refuse to listen to that because I am walking with God, the King of the world, the God of the universe, the creator of all things. I'm walking with him. So you, Satan, take a step aside. Go away. Leave me alone. Even Satan has to bow. Even Satan has to run. And that's the confession that Rahab ended with. For the Lord your God is God in heaven above and on the earth below. I know who your God is, and that's why I just lied to the king. Because quite honestly, I want to align myself with you right now and not him, because I know what's about to happen. We all know what's about to happen. Now, there's a distinct difference between Rahab and the king and the other people of the land, because while other people were turning to other things, their gods, their habits, or whatever can soothe them in the moment, she was turning to the Israelites and saying, hey, I know who you are and I know who your God is. And that's where I want to be. We have that choice all the time. We can go back to the things of the world. We can go to the retail therapy. Amazon is a super easy thing to do. Oh, I'm going to get this dress for the summer and then I'm going to feel better. No, you're not. You're going to get that dress and it's going to be one more thing for you to take care of. And it's going to be fun to wear for the first 2 or 3 times. And then it's going to be, again, something that you have to wash and iron and take care of. And it's going to pack your closet even more. And it doesn't bring you at all the comfort that you thought that it would bring you. Walk with God. Don't worry about getting more of the things of the world. Yes, that drink at the end of the night feels good. It soothes you. It gives you peace for a moment. Only God can give us the peace that lasts, that surpasses all understanding. Only God can give us peace in the middle of the storms that no one can explain. Looking at your life, isn't it amazing when people from the outside are like, I don't know why she's walking around with a smile? Like, honestly, from where I'm looking, she doesn't seem to have much going on. Yeah, no, but she's walking with God. She's aligned herself with God, and that's all that matters. That's why we can get up and say, this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Because today, we're walking with God, and we know that when we walk with God, when we wake up and say, God, take me where you want to take me today, you lead me through the day, he will lead us to good places. Whatever we have to face, whatever we have to go through, God is there and he's in it with us. So we can walk with courage. We can walk with confidence. Sure, of whatever plan God is working out, it's going to be good. Now then, she says, please swear to me by the Lord that you will show kindness to my family because I have shown kindness to you. Give me a sure sign that you will spare the lives of my father and mother, my brothers and sisters, and all who belong to them, and that you will save us from death. Okay, here again, this woman is courageous. She is not timid in asking for what she wants. What does she want? She wants to be spared. She knows the Israelites are going to conquer this land. And she's like, okay, so here we are. Here's the deal. I just saved your life. And because I saved your life, I want you to save my life. And not just my life. She didn't ask a small thing. She's like, not just me, but my mother, my father, my brothers, my sisters, anybody I want. That's who I want you to save. What are your prayers sounding like today? You know that you serve a big God who can do amazing things. So don't you dare be praying small, timid prayers. Be praying for the most. I always say, ask for the ice cream sundae with the cherry on top, whipped cream, sprinkles, all of it. If God decides to give you a vanilla cone, fine. Don't let it be because you didn't ask. God can do whatever he wants to do in his good omnipotence, knowing all things, having all power. He can look down on a situation and say, for now, that ice cream sundae with whipped cream and sprinkles might not be in your best interest. But you know what? I'm going to give you a cone. You still have more than what you started with. So ask for the most, be bold, and whatever you get, be content with it. The spies answered, our lives for your lives. The men assured her, if you don't tell what we are doing, we will treat you kindly and faithfully when the Lord gives us the land. So there's some terms and conditions here, and we're going to get into more of those in just a minute. So she let them down by a rope through the window, for the house she lived in was part of the city wall. She said to them, go to the hills so the pursuers will not find you. Hide yourself there 3 days until they return, and then go on your way. So she's still giving them some listen, you're not out of the woods, but go in the opposite direction, hide, hang out. And then when they get back, go your own way. I know that you're coming. Now the men said to her, this oath you made us swear will not be binding on us unless, here's the terms and conditions, right? Here's the page, terms and conditions. You're not getting away with this scot-free. You have to do these things or this is not binding. Unless you have tied the scarlet cord in the window through which you let us down. So she let them down through a scarlet cord. And they said, this same cord has to be in the window. That's how we know this is Rahab, the prostitute's house. So this has to be in the window so we know where you're at. Also, unless you have brought your father and mother, brothers, sisters, and your whole family into your house. So we are not going to go spare, houses all throughout the land of Jericho. This is the house. So if you want them to be saved, they will all be in your house. Okay? If any of them go outside your house into the street, their blood is on their own heads. We're not responsible. You leave the house, not our problem. Okay? We're only responsible for the people who are in the house. As for those who are in the house with you, their blood will be on our head if a hand is laid on them. So if anybody comes in, any of the soldiers, any of the fighting men, if they attack you, if they harm you, that's on us. Now we've got a problem. It's on us, not you. But if you tell what we are doing, we'll be released from the oath you made us swear. You tell a soul, other than these people who you're bringing into your house, all null and void. This whole contract, done. You've broken the contract. You've broken the agreement. We will not stand by it. Agreed, she replied. Let it be as you say. She signed on the dotted line. Terms and conditions, mark the X. We're on the same page. You got it. That's how it's going to be. So she sent them away and they departed, and she tied the scarlet cord in the window. Again, that obedience. We see people throughout the book of Joshua. We're going to see some that don't do it. And we're going to see also at the end of the book of Joshua and into Judges that it wasn't always this way, but a lot of it is, you say to do it, I'm going to do it. This is not something we're going to put off for someday, because as we know, someday a lot of times never comes. So if there are things in your life that you've been putting off that you want to do, that you know you should do, get to it. What are you waiting for? Someday may never come. So start acting today. She tied that scarlet cord in the window. Now, maybe she did it that day. Maybe she did it when the people started marching around. We don't know when, but we do know she knew it was important and she did it. When they left, they went into the hills and stayed there 3 days until the pursuers had searched all along the road and returned without finding them. They listened to her. She gave them advice. She was from the land. She said, go here, stay here for 3 days, and then come back. They listened to her. So they didn't look down on Rahab and go, well, she's just a prostitute. What does she know? We're not going to listen to her. Look, she had shown herself to be someone who believed in the true God. She had shown herself to be bold and courageous in wanting to align herself with them. And much as Jesus did not turn away people, he didn't turn away tax collectors. He didn't turn away from the people who had been possessed with demons. He didn't turn away from the people who had been, impaired in some way because they were blind or they had what other else going on. He did not turn away from them, no matter what. If they were caught in sin or if they had been the least of or whatever, he went to them. He accepted them. When they came to him, he met with them. He healed them. He spoke with them. He breathed into them. He encouraged them, got their faith up and going. And what a beautiful thing for us to remember too. It doesn't matter where people have been. It matters about meeting them and bringing them in and making them a part of the family of God. Okay, so then the two men started back. They went down out of the hills, forded the river, and came to Joshua, son of Nun, and told him everything that had happened to them. They said to Joshua, the Lord has surely given the whole land into our hands. All the people are melting in fear because of us. What a difference in the report that the 10 spies gave Moses the years earlier. Here, the spies came back. Now, again, they didn't do it publicly. They reported to Joshua, but they said, the land is ours. Like, this just absolutely is the sure and certain sign that you need to know we need to get going because God has given us this land. Amazing. Okay, so what are some of the takeaways that we should really cling to in this episode, in this account? First of all, your past does not define you. Rahab was a prostitute. Guess what? She would be one of the people written about in Hebrews 11, the chapter of faith, that because she saved the men's lives, she walked with God. She acted in faith courageously. She knew who the God of the universe was. And so she acted in faith. By faith, Rahab did what she did. She was put in this great Hall of Fame chapter. Then she was also in the line of the Savior. We find out as we read Matthew 1 and we see the genealogy of Jesus, we find out that Salmon was Boaz's father, but guess who the mother was? Rahab. Rahab, the prostitute. Now, sometimes maybe you, like me, have wondered, what was Rahab's life like when she was spared, when she was brought into the camp, into the community of Israelites? Well, guess what? Someone married her. And not just someone who gave birth to Boaz, who gave birth to Obed, who gave birth to Jesse, who gave birth to David. No, I know the men didn't give birth. Their wives did. But my point is, Rahab is right up there. And when we read the book of Ruth, Boaz is a pretty upright man. So Rahab must have been a pretty faithful to God, unbelievable mom who pointed her son in the direction of the living God. This is what she's professing all along in this whole account, and God is revealing this to us. So you know what? Yes, she was a prostitute in a former life. That is how she made her living, but there was before and there was the after. There is the new creation. Your past does not define you. The hurt of the past, however people have hurt you, that's on them. You can get past it. The things that you did, the bad choices you made, you also can get past those. Whoever you were in the past doesn't matter. Today, you get to start over. The blood of Jesus covers all of that. Covers what they did to you, covers what you did, and now you're a new creation, which means you can step out today, day one, new life. I'm not that person anymore. Yes, I used to get up every day and complain. I used to gossip my way through the day. I used to connive and lie and exaggerate and whatever. No more, because you know what? I'm a new creation. Today, I'm walking with God. I'm reading his word. I'm putting it into practice. I've decided I'm going to be the most upbeat Jesus freak that I can be because I want the whole world to know that I'm walking with God. And so today is day one. Your past does not have to define you at all. You can be who you were created to be in Christ. Number two, no matter what they did, no matter what they said, that is not your identity. You might still be living with someone. You might still be in a church that overlooks you, that says you don't have this ability, you don't have this degree, you're not married to this person, whatever. That is not your identity. You get your identity from what God tells you about who you are, and you read his word, and you are going to find he's crazy in love with you. He loves you with a never-ending love. He knows every hair on your head. That is something that even your spouse can't say. He has collected your tears. He has counted them. He has chosen you. He sees you as holy, as set apart for his purposes. God is crazy about you, and he makes sure that you know about it all throughout the Bible. Read the Bible. That's your identity. Your identity is forgiven child of God. It doesn't matter what they say. It does not matter how they label you. It doesn't matter how the world sees you. Yeah, you're not the influencer. You don't have the body. You don't have the hair. You don't have the money. You don't have the house. You don't have the family. You don't have the degree. I don't care. Nobody cares. You know what matters? What matters is how God defines you. And he defines you as his beloved, chosen, forgiven child. So to everybody else, nobody cares. That's who your identity is. Go live it. Go walk out of the house with confidence because you are that person. You are who God says you are, not who they say you are, whoever they are. Then also guard your heart, because when you fill up on the things of the world, your songs and worldly literature and the streaming services and all the episodes and the podcasts and whatever, they will be telling you what you should think about who you are and that you need to take these 4 steps. Stop. Guard your heart. Look, turn off the TV. Put the phone down. Pick up the Bible. Let God be the voice that gets into you, that defines you, that moves you forward. Otherwise, guard your heart against it. I love this. I'm going to end with this. The People's Bible. They noted that when the spies came back, they said, faith in God's promises make all the difference on the way we report on the condition of our lives. When we trust God, when we are absolutely sure he is in this, even if this is the worst season that we have been through in a while, we can have such ridiculous confidence because God has me here. Look, even if I'm in this season that from the outside is not all that appealing, no one really wants to trade places with me, I'm walking with God. If God has me through the valley, I'm going to walk through the valley, because even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, you are with me, God. So know that you can report based on the lens that God is with you today, no matter what you're going through. All right, as you go forward, may you put the past in the past. And may you know the greatness of God and who he is, and that he is a God of abundance and power and might and strength. And may you have unwavering faith that he will be with you as you do everything that he calls you to do. See you next time.